Hello. Today we'll be talking about video log number three. And we'll discuss kind of some things that motivated Emilio, as well as some challenges that he had throughout high school, as well as some successes that he has had through high school, and some of the things that really has stuck with him till today. So Emilio, multiple times during our interaction, we actually was able to go to his high school and walk through the halls and kind of see which classrooms he liked the most and which classes that he liked the least. Um, what I heard reoccurring while he was talking was that he didn't like math. Math was definitely one of his weakest subjects. He felt that he didn't learn anything from math. He felt that it wasn't relevant towards him. He felt that the teacher who taught math wasn't respecting him or many other people in the class. They were just teaching up there, and not expecting anyone to have any trouble with it. From what he described, this teacher seemed like to be an expert in math, and we have talked in class how the expert versus the novice or apprentice, how the expert will have can have trouble teaching can have trouble teaching beginners because what they know is so secondhand, is so next second nature. They just know like the back of their hand. Negative transfer is the official term for that. So he Emilio found a lot of negative transfer in his math class. He found it very hard to keep up, very hard to once he knew he was behind, hard to keep up and hard to maintain what the standard that the teacher expected them to have. Um, Emilio thought personally that it was an unrealistic expectation that the teacher had for them, which caused Emilio to feel even more unmotivated to succeed in that class. Um, that building on the fact that once Emilio found that he was failing the class, the teacher didn't address him, didn't come for help, didn't offer any hand of support. Emilio felt that the teacher didn't really care for him. So that was a class that he chose to not only not learning, but he chose to simply disengage with, and encourage others to not learn too, because he felt that the teacher didn't care about any students in the class, let alone just himself. Um, One of the real factors or real key terms or themes that I've heard from Emilio countless times while we were talking is real world application. He was only trying in classes that had real world application. Real world application meaning that you can find a trade that does it, or there's a specific job that does it, or right out of high school you will need this skill. So Emilio mentioned skills such as science, how to cook, the way things cook. He had multiple science classes that talked about temperature and about cooking and things like that, and he found those classes very useful. And his participation in those classes was obviously above other classes like math, because he figured to himself that these classes would be helpful for him and his family in the future. So that was like a real short term goal, or short term goal that those classes could fulfill. Versus on a long term scale, he is Emilio has always been good in history. He said that remembering dates, remembering faces, remembering events is something that he's really good at. He's a very visual and auditory learner. And for history class, they watched a lot of videos, they did a lot of discussions. So that's things that really encouraged him to learn and really encouraged him to try his hardest. Those on a long term scale, a long term goal would be, obviously Emilio later on down the line ended up joining the military. That kind of visual and auditory memory served him very well with kind of mimicking things to do and things not to do while on deployment and just in the service in general. And he says that through his interest in high school and through his deployment, his love for history has grown even more. So this has become almost like a passion for him, since he has that real world application, which is being in the military. What I thought was interesting for Emilio is that he is the first generation, the first child of the first generation here in America. So his family actually migrated from Mexico. He was actually the first child born in the United States, a legal citizen, and all the whole 9 yards. So for Emilio, it was a lot of pressure on him. And in early high school, he didn't see this pressure because his father was around. But he said sophomore year when his father left to go back to Mexico, and Emilio was the man of the house, he felt more pressure. This is when the pressure really started to get to him, and when he really started to see like I have to step my performance up, and I have to start motivating myself to do things that I might not want to do. So that started as an extrinsic motivation. His family was what motivated him. He knew that he had to be the role model for his three younger siblings. He knew that he had to take care of his mom and take care of the household. He also knew that he needed to get good grades to get to lead to a good future, whether that be college or whether that be employment anywhere. He knew that this was something that had to happen. This extrinsic motivation turned into an intrinsic motivation as other members in his family started to become more and more independent. He started to stop doing it really for his family and started doing it for himself, meaning that he wanted to take classes to actually learn the material. He was interested in the material. He wanted to learn it because he knew that later in his life, even though he can't pinpoint exactly when or where he will use it, he knew that this information will be useful in the future. Um, so the failure. So what I saw from the failure in his math class was that the more Emilio started to fail the classes, the less the teachers actually the teachers passion for him never really increased or decreased. It kind of stayed stagnant. But seeing that it stayed stagnant, it made him try less. So meaning that if since he was failing math, he tried less, obviously continuing his failure, but his connection to that failure or to the task, it really decreased. So he didn't care the outcome. He didn't care that he failed math because he doesn't care about the teacher, and he didn't care about what his opinion of him was anyway. Versus versus subjects like history, that Emilio found much more attachment to, and through that developed a much better relationship with the teacher who taught history because obviously he liked the teaching style and he responded well to that. So I think that is more of a difference in teaching styles, and not so a difference in difference in personality. Because I wouldn't say that Emilio's math teacher was less compassionate or less caring for Emilio being a minority student and a PWI. And I definitely wouldn't say that this history student was more focused on Emilio simply because he was Hispanic. However, I will say that since a lot of other teachers chose to look at Emilio as just another number or just another student and not as Emiliano, and this teacher really saw him as an individual. That is the aspect that set this teacher apart from everyone else. Um, that really made him want to be intrinsically motivated and learn for himself. Um, that is the key thing that I've learned from talking to him this last time about motivation. It's somewhere along the line, someone told Emilio that you're going to be good at these things and not good at these things. You're going to be good at using your hands in woodshop. You're going to be good at learning dates. You're going to be good at memorizing information, being in a minority, and you're not going to be good at other things like math, maybe technology, maybe science, things like that. Someone along the way told him about these things, and through school reinforcing it, he truly believed that I'm just not good at these subjects, and I'm better at subjects like this. Um, that is about it.